Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Well, I think all I have to do is buy the 10-year treasury and, I think that's all we got to do today. So good stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. Look, I can already see Mike and Dan early in chat talking, man, we are in for a real poopy show today. I can't even. Okay. Yeah. So Donald Trump tweeting last night supporting bringing the National Guard in to take care of rioting in Minnesota, and Twitter censored him. So here's what I'm going to say about it. Calling in the National Guard to restore order is the correct course of action. Rioting is not okay. If you own Twitter stock, you should probably sell it. That's about as succulently as I could put it. Don't riot. I really think that people, and I tell you what, there's people all over Twitter advocating rioting, and in my opinion, that's advocating violence. Don't riot. Anyways, markets overnight down. So we had a big sell-off at the end of the day yesterday after news that Donald Trump was going to have a press conference. We're already kind of falling down a little bit, but I think that they were actually going to try and make another push for the high. And then they came in with this news and everybody just puked. It was too close to the end of the day. Everybody just said, well, I got to close my positions. And since they were underwater, people had to sell. Yeah, it was a crazy thing. Poor timing. But then also, buyers were overextended. You had all this stuff going on. I talked about it in the recap yesterday. Overnight, kind of choppy. Certainly Asian markets not going to do a whole lot. Wondering about this. In the treasury market, I believe that there's a strong reason to believe that there's going to be strong demand in treasuries today. It's the end of the month. There's usually strong flows into treasuries at the end of the month as people acquire inventory for the next month. But also portfolios that try to maintain a balanced portfolio, like they're supposed to own 60% stocks and 40% bonds. Well, if you just had stocks and you just made like a huge 30% in your stocks, then at the end of the month, you have to rebalance it. And what does that mean? You're buying treasuries. That's why the first thing I did, I come in and I saw where we were at was an okay spot and I bought. So that is my plan for today. We do have numbers coming though. We have personal income numbers and all of these things. Durable goods, unemployment claim. No, that's Thursday. Blah, 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 blah. Personal spending, PCE price index, personal income trades good balance. And then at 9:45 Eastern time, Chicago PMI, and then consumer sentiment, and then the Fed chair Powell speaks, and then tentative, we don't know what time, but at some time today, Donald Trump will speak on China, which is going to be interesting because he's going to want to talk about China, and the U.S. media is going to want to talk about how he said that looters should be shot. So, yeah. This is going to be an interesting day. And since our plan is so simple, we can sit and talk about it if you really want. But there's going to be no advocating violence. Will not have that on my stream. It is okay to say that the National Guard should be called in to restore order. That's already happened. Okay. But let's not like advocate violence or looting. We'll not have it. This is just going to be... I tried to get on the Donald. Let's see if it's changed. I tried to get on the Donald to see... I already read Reddit's opinion on this, but I tried to get on the Donald to see what people were saying. Yeah. And couldn't get in. Click each image containing an umbrella. Well, there's an umbrella. Help me out here, guys. Whew, okay. Okay, I can get into it now. This is crazy because this all happened overnight, and most of America hasn't even woken up yet. It's gonna be insane. It's gonna be insane.
Kevin Wimmer says lol Agent 47 does not want to advocate violence. Nice
Hey
joke.
man, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. I don't think that YouTube is as stupid as Twitter, but it's doing... honestly, calling in the National Guard is the correct thing. And calling in the National Guard and coming in and saying, hey, you know what bringing the National Guard in means, right? When the National Guard comes in, if you're a protester, that is your cue to shut up and go home. Right? Like, they've been 50 businesses burned, riots, attacks against police. Yes, they're going to bring in the National Guard. And what do you think the National Guard is there for? Yes, to enforce the peace by force. That is, and then what happens is the political leaders come out and they say, hey guys, you don't want to fuck with the National Guard. Now, of course, Donald Trump said it in the most violent way possible, I guess, but that's what they're do. That's what they're supposed to do. And Twitter is interfering with the President of the United States' ability to maintain order in the country. They are fucked. Mark my words, Jack Dorsey will not be CEO for much longer. The stock is about to get destroyed. I wouldn't be surprised if they opened down 10, 20%. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go down 50%. I wouldn't be surprised.
Says we got a pretty nice range in the Amini right now. Would like to long if they make a fake breakout.
They make a fake breakout? Wow, we got news in 5 minutes, so I would wait for that at least, right? Anyways, I wouldn't be surprised to see Twitter go down 70, 80% over the next few weeks. If I owned their stock, I would be getting out. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Donald Trump say he's not going to use Twitter anymore. Then they'll really drop. So yeah, Matt Dorsey's not going to be CEO much longer. They were already trying to oust him. Yeah, they're definitely going to after this.
Kevin Wimmer says still not at the low yet. 27.75 was the low of the range.
This is a really tight range here. Yeah, well, they're probably just consolidated until the personal spending numbers. I think that personal spending and personal income numbers is going to be really interesting because last time around, let's see here. We don't need to look at them right now. I can read that all later. I already read Reddit's view of it. Where is it? Okay, so last time personal income was negative 2%. They're expecting negative 6% at this time on personal income. And spending, how come I don't see the spending one on here? Personal spending, negative 12.6. So those with numbers that big, it could be very variable. And if it comes out and personal spending is like negative, 15, I think that would be pretty bad. But who knows? So I'll look. They're going down to the bottom of. Well, they're selling. Somebody has decided that whatever is going to be in this news is going to be bad, I guess. Here's a scary thought. U.S. bond markets are now trading September contract as a front month September. What's scary about that, Brannigan Barrett? Isn't that normal? That's weird. That is a weird tweet. I don't understand. It's got to be a joke, but I don't get it. Of course they're trading September, you moron. You're going to be trading September in the E-mini too soon. Oh, you know what we're missing? The squawk. Oh, of course. It's Friday. I didn't get it anymore. That's why I didn't do it. That guy never got back to me. I should email him again. Maybe they don't respond to Gmail and only if I send it through the thing. 30 seconds. Can see quite a bit of pulling across the board here. Seven people shot in Louisville during protests of Breonna Taylor shooting. This is no clue what that even is. Oh yes, that was when that lady got shot in her apartment. No police officers had fired their guns. This is going to be a disaster, guys. Okay, here's the news. Core PCE price index negative 0.4. Personal income month over month 10% versus negative 6.5%. Whoa, that's better than expected. And personal spending negative 13.6 versus negative 12.6. Much worse than expected. I don't know what to make of that. So people are making more but spending less.
Doesn't seem that important. Lol. No volume.
I don't think that they know what to do with it. Goods trades balance. This is where you can have some edge, right? Goods trades balance is negative. It's bad for the S&P. It means that people aren't spending. The previous one was negative 6.5. So it is good that people have money, but I think that overall, in the long run, this is bad because what it means is that people haven't really had to feel the pain from the shutdown because they got unemployment and all that. Overall, though, probably the E-mini is not going to want to move a whole lot because they're going to want to hear what Donald Trump has to say on China. China. That was definitely low volume. Well, I don't think I have ever seen that wow. Yeah, the mini is selling here. There we go. I thought so. Whew. Joe Scarborough, the president is advocating the killing of
Mike
Americans
A
for
says
poverty
good
crimes.
morning.
That's right, he is. That is what you do when looting happens, Joe. Oh my gosh, there is nothing conservative about the head of state gunning down and shooting American citizens. Constitutional conservatives should be deeply disturbed. Joe Scarborough, where have you been the past 50 fucking years? This is in my lifetime, the third, fourth, fifth time I think that they have called the National Guard in somewhere to quell looting and protests. And what do? They come in and they say, if you loot, the National Guard will do something about it, and I wouldn't test them. Don't act like this is an unusual thing. My goodness. I just can't. I'm sorry, but the world, people in America have lost their minds. This is standard procedure, folks. Man. U.S. consumer spending fell by a record 13.6 in April during coronavirus lockdowns, but there are signs that purchasing is starting to pick up, says the Wall Street Journal on the news. Well, equities sold a good clip off of that. They were in a really tight range, and we're in a tight range within a tight range, so they could go back to 3013 and still be fine. But my reading of that news was negative. I think that it takes. This is one we're saying.
Michael
What are
says
sources of
CNN is
edge?
trying to fan the flames too.
Right? It's insane. Guys, when they call the National Guard, shut the fuck up. That is the cue that this has gone too far. Media fanning the flames. I can't believe this is all the media should say about it. The National Guard was called into the Twin Cities yesterday. Now to the weather. That's it. That should be it. It's over. They called the National Guard in. The way that they're talking, they want people to go out and loot, and you know what's going to happen if you go out and loot? The National Guard is going to stop you. That's not. We got to be careful about how we say this. I don't like the way that Donald Trump said it. I don't want to sit down and say, like the National Guard. I would like the National Guard to shoot people, and that's certainly not what we want to have happen, right? But it is appropriate. It is the correct course of action, and it has happened many, many times to call the National Guard in when people are destroying communities. It's just insane to me. We're having a national conversation about whether or not it's okay to loot and whether or not it's okay for the government to restore order. Like, what? I think what's going on here is that some people have been driven so mad by the politics of it, and they have gone so far left. They want a revolution, and they see this as their moment to, attack the establishment and whatever. And so they believe, very much falsely so, that now is the time for them to push the buttons. And the issue here is that the American public always, historically, always sides on the side of order. Did you know that after the Kent State shootings, okay, these are students, they weren't throwing bottles. Like, these protesters are throwing bottles and attacking police and burning buildings down. Okay, in the Kent State, they did burn a building down, didn't they? But the particular incident, the students were just standing in a field and being peaceful, and 13 people were shot. 13 people were shot, 100% peaceful. 100% peaceful, completely unacceptable. The worst instance of excessive use of force from the police in the history of ever in the United States, right? Polling a month later showed that the American public sided with the police, saying that the protesters should have left when they were warned by police. The worst case of police overreach in response to protests ever. And the American public
Kevin
sided
says,
with the
do we know when
police.
Trump press conference is going to be? Don't want to make the mistake being in a trade.
Yeah, that's a good question, Kevin, and we don't know yet. I'm sure that we will see it on the Twitter when it happens. So I wonder what it's going to be, because he's probably going to come out and give us. I hope that what he does is he comes out and gives a statement and then walks out. Because if this ends up being one of those, the media can ask questions sort of press conferences, they're just going to ask about the Minneapolis thing. It's just going to be a disaster. And you know that Donald Trump is sitting there fuming about it. He's got to be
Sunday
sitting there like me.
Says Kent State wasn't entirely peaceful. Police were being spat upon.
You're right, Sunday. I did note there that they had burned a building on that campus the day before.
Kevin Wimmer says China bad. Mic drop. Boom.
Boom. Yeah, that's what it should
Mike A
be.
says I watched your video about NT8 programming and was really great.
Hey, thank you, Mike. Which one? Because I have like two. I need to make more. I should make the one on strategies this weekend. I'm gonna have some time. That's what I should do. Is I should make that one. I've been sitting here thinking, what video should I make this weekend? I really think that the best thing for you guys, because I keep thinking, what should I do for the new traders? But now I'm starting to think like, fuck them. I shouldn't say that. It's so mean. Listen, I feel like that often I've become a very bitter and cynical person, but I look at a lot of the new traders and I'm like, you guys are idiots. You don't stand a fucking chance. No way. But hey, if you want to write Ninja Trader 8 programming strategies, that's probably what we should
Sunday
do.
Driver says Trump derangement syndrome is making people actually side with people who are burning down a city.
I agree with you. Well, I agree with you, but I think it's beyond Trump derangement syndrome. I
Mike
think
A
that there's
says,
a lot
"Where
of
is the
communists
birds?"
out there. I think there's lots of communists out there. I was quite incensed yesterday reading on Twitter or on Reddit, and somebody was saying, Trump and all of these people, they hate black people and they want the police to do these sorts of things to people. And I'm like, what? Where the hell do people get this shit from? There is not a single person. I really don't think there's a single person in this country that thinks that what happened to that poor guy, Floyd, I don't think there's a single person that thinks that's okay. I think that everybody is incensed that the police would act in that manner to anybody. It could be you, it could be me. I've had a problem with this for a long time. There is a problem with police brutality. I'm not saying that it's super common, but the problem is that when police brutality happens, they are usually not held to account, and there needs to be reform in that area, and something needs to be fixed. All right, everybody agrees with this. Everybody agrees with this, and so then these people are saying, "Oh, you hate us, and we're going to burn down." Like, are you kidding me? No. Everybody thinks that the police should be punished. You don't need to burn the city down. Why? Makes no sense. That can only that kind of language can only come from people that have a distorted sense of reality set on by politics. Seriously. Well, the tenure is ranging around quite a bit more than I thought they would. The E-mini is going to try and make its retracement now. By the way, the dollar's below 98 now. Dollar index is below 98. When is the E-mini rollover? I think it's... Well, you certainly would want to do it today. I think it's next week. I never know. Interesting. But it is a retracement to previous levels. Looking at the level 2. They're taking it, so I'm going to take it too. And what happens, happens. It doesn't matter. Okay. E-mini's trying to do something here, and it looks like they're kind of getting a little hammered from it. Okay. Well, they stacked on at 28.5. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Regulate Twitter if they're going to start regulating free speech. Well, they've just proven conclusively that's what they're doing. Repeal Section 230. That's Donald Trump tweeting there. This is a kind of curious action that the E-mini has dropped and demand for treasuries has fallen down a little bit. Now Sean Hannity's getting involved, asking where the mayor of Minneapolis was. Okay, so they bought through 3,000 contracts. Okay. Oh man, the E-mini is being quite a tug of war over there. Hmm. The E-mini slips back down again. They're gonna slip down to the 33,000 level, or well, I guess it's really 3015, huh? Paul Krugman pointing to a study about who is most upset by Biden's remarks earlier, and of course it's Republicans, because people that agree with the the speaker's political ideology are more likely to minimize the comments in their mind, regardless of if they were smart or not.
Mike A says, do you have any video to script for move chart object like text to specific place in chart like margin X margin Y? How you write this?
To move a chart object, well, you have to have a link to that. You have to know the name of the chart object, and there's methods. So, like, I would just search for in the Ninja script documentation, like if you're doing a box, for instance, search for the box methods in the documentation, and they will explain the methods that you can use to create a box. And then once you have a box, um, you just modify the properties of it. That's probably not worth making a video on, but I can walk you through it in private message later today if you have trouble finding it in the documentation. Understand if you're not a big programmer, but yeah. White House economic advisor Kudlow, President Trump will present ideas to hold China accountable. Yeah, that would be a sell. Maybe that's why they were selling there. The market year tweets private guys have been selling SPX and buying gold. Ominous sounds. Also, yeah, so you know what, Mike? For the margin X, margin Y stuff, that you have to look in the um there's a chart object that you probably set those properties in. But again, it's in the documentation somewhere. I would just go search NinjaTrader documentation for margin. You'll find it somewhere in there. It definitely exists because I've done it before. Okay. So there was a pretty ugly sell there, and they did make a slightly lower swing low, and they came back up just as quickly.
Michael XC says, when did the treasuries roll over?
I did it yesterday. I think that Ninja Trader will prompt you to roll it over yesterday. I don't know when the E-mini rolls over. We have to look it up on the CME website. I think it's like the last day of the month, though. So I think that you can still trade the E-minis until like Monday. I mean, it looks to me like they're Ninja Trader's not telling me to roll over. I bet you there's probably a bit more volume well, I don't know if there's more or less volume. We could look that up. I really should just know, huh? Because I know that you know how to look it up on the CME website. You just don't want to have to do that, right? I'll do it. I will do it for you.
Michael XC says, is there any site that compares the two contracts volume side by side?
The CME website does.
Michael XC says, for a symbol.
Actually,
Mike A says, I have a box represent yesterday and today volume in text, and I am limit for right, left, top, or bottom or center, but I try to do top right, and this can be done by play by margin X, Y. Michael XC says, a CME in real time? I thought it was just end of day.
I'm thinking Mike A, trying to understand. So the way, I mean, if you're doing a text, when you draw text, you can give an X and Y coordinate, and that's drawn typically from the upper left. So if you want to draw it in the upper right, then what you have to do is you have to do some math to figure out how wide the window is, and then how wide the text is, and then subtract the width of the text from the length of the thing and move it over the appropriate amount. Okay, so here we are. Where is it? It's here somewhere. Roll analyzer. S&P 500. Okay. So it is saying today is the last day, and 80% of the E-mini has moved. So probably we should too.
Mike A says, like this one. Mike A says margin equals new thickness 821 minus 35
Right.
0.
But see, the margin is just like if I come into properties and I say in here, I think it's in here. Maybe it's in data. It's in here somewhere. Now maybe they took it out. It used to be in here. It used to be a thing inside of the window bit that.
Mike A says, sorry to take you off from what you doing.
There it is. You see right here, you can set right side margin, for instance. That's what that is. But when you're drawing text, there's going to be a method that says like draw text X, comma, Y, comma, the text that you're writing, comma, the name of the object, like all of these. That's where it matters. If you want to draw up in here, or you want it to draw in the upper right, correct? So that's where I'm saying when you draw it, don't use a margin. It's the x and y coordinates of where you're drawing it, and probably you're drawing it up here because this is 0, 0, right? If you want it to draw over here, then and this is 500 pixels wide, then you have to draw it at 500, 0. Okay. Now, if you draw it at 500, 0, it'll draw it like literally right on the edge and you won't be able to see it. So you have to know how wide is a piece of text. So maybe the piece of text is like 30 pixels. So then I should draw it at 470, 0. And then you get the text right there. That's where you should be looking.
Michael XC says, are any rioters wearing masks?
Good question. I think so. But I saw a lot of videos with them not. Am I going to get a fill? Am I going to get a fill? Please, please, please. More Americans than believed are making more on unemployment, sometimes much more, says Forex Live. Shows a picture. Ooh. We should open this up big. So this is without the CARES Act, and this is with the CARE Act, and this is where they are equal. So all of these people are making equal to or more than they did on unemployment, and only these people are the ones that wouldn't be making less. Oy. That is a lot.
Air Cages says hello. COVID is the best thing to ever happen to the markets. Let's go to all-time highs, everybody, woo.
Cool. Now we got space to breathe. I like it. I tell you what, air cages. I mean, I really don't think that being down 10% year to date is still the great thing. I tell you what, I said this in my recap, but I'm kind of glad that we had the sell off yesterday, even though I know that a few people lost money on it, because I think that what's been going on is that the Federal Reserve has unintentionally created a meme investing strategy that essentially encourages people to take trades without considering the risks of it. And so it's a good thing for them to get overextended and then burned. To remember that you still have to factor in the risks, even when the Federal Reserve is around. White House economic advisor Kudlow says the U.S. is furious about what China has done with Hong Kong. Let's see what crazy people are saying. Somebody upset that somebody's
Air
saying that
Cages
they'll
says, what
defend their
risks?
community.
All I see is dollar, 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 baby.
Did you see what happened at the end of the day yesterday, Air Cages? Did you look at the chart yet? That was an ugly sell. It was a really ugly sell. So people are upset on the internet that people are saying that if rioting comes to their community, that they will stand up to it. They're
Dan
upset
H
about
says
that.
since all our goods are made in China, it seems scary to mess with them. Air Cages says I don't look at charts. I just wake up, market buy and make dollar.
You're all gonna get fucked. Language warning on today's episode, guys. Y'all think because it goes up. Listen, I think it's really interesting. You buy it and you make money, and the human's natural psyche is, oh, I'm the best. I'm so smart. Look at how much money I made, especially if you made thousands of dollars from it. And especially if the only reason that you were buying was because of the Federal Reserve or because the trend was up, it's really easy to sit there and say, well, that's all that matters. But you know what? The fact that all of these hedge funds and everything were all positioned a certain way in the market and essentially had to reposition into value stocks, and that causes a complete rebalancing in the S&P 500 that pushed it up, and that there are retail traders buying it because they have money from the government. And these are things that matter. These are reasons to buy. And if you bought for other reasons, you got lucky. You got lucky that happened to be the dynamics underneath of the issue. And when those dynamics change, it's going to go back down. And hey, we could be back to negative 5% overnight moves very easily if the right things happen. It's entirely possible, especially if people are trading without considering the risks, not setting stops and managing the risk of the trade appropriately, and so on, so forth. It's going to happen. And the more irresponsible you guys are being, the more painful it's going to be when it happens. Because you cannot. It is a fact of life. It is a fact of life, and not even the Federal Reserve can save you from risk at some point. Of course, he's being sarcastic. And I'm just saying. I wouldn't long this market. Well, so the thing in my mind, I think right now the market is mostly concerned about the China thing. But the question is, at what point does the flow flip? Like a lot of everyday Americans put money into the market. Apparently, most people that got stimulus put some of it into the market. Apparently, when that money runs out, that's a flow that has been moving into the market that's gone. So that's one thing. But then there's this other thing, which is like, well, we can see where they've all bought. So if it starts going down, and once you know where they're underwater and people start panicking, hopefully those people wouldn't panic and keep their stocks, but who knows? If they're being foolish with their money, and there's certainly people doing options and so forth and doing that. So yeah, it is just crazy to me. It is crazy to me that the country is having a national discussion about whether rioting is okay. What world do you live on if you think that rioting is okay like that? To go in and destroy your community because we hate the government. Fuck you. If that's you, fuck you. Seriously. It's not okay. Myself, here's the thing. This is probably a minority of Americans. Like, let's say that maybe 30-20% of Americans think that rioting is okay and we should stop. And we should riot to stick it to the government. Okay? Let's say it's 20%. You know what the other 80% of Americans are saying? Holy shit, I can't believe I have neighbors that think these things. It's going to have long-term repercussions, and it's not going to be good for the people that want riots. Wow, protesters take Minneapolis police 3rd precinct building during third night of George Floyd protests. You've got to be shitting me. They took over a police precinct now? There's going to be hell to pay, dude. Stop it. This is such a disaster. I shouldn't be reading this shit. DXY strengthens a little bit after Trump tweets China. He just tweets China. Oh, I didn't catch that one. Ran Squire retweeted it and said, "Go on, ... Oh boy. And Miad Kasvari says, the macro analysis has come to this. DXY strengthens a little bit after Trump tweets White China. I don't see it strengthening a little bit. It's still down. But my oh, you know what? My chart over there is jacked again. So it'll let me save the workspace. I don't know what it is with that chart. Keeps getting jacked up.
Kevin Wimmer says here is our response to Orange Man, USA exclamation mark.
I hope that's what the Global Times comes back with. That would be the funniest thing in the history of foreign relations. Oh my gosh. Well, E-Mini's fallen another good clip. And my Ninja Trader's still not reacting. We're going to have to rebuild the workspace probably. I think that workspace is just fucked. Ooh, I'm swearing so much today. You can tell I'm a little triggered by it, can't you? I am a little bit triggered by people saying.
Trading says good morning, trader.
Or you, CH? I'm a little bit triggered by people saying that it's okay to attack communities and private properties and a mass looting spree. It triggers me. It's not okay. It bothers me that I live amongst these people that think that that's okay. You know what's something else that I think is kind of like really weird too, is that it's all white people saying this shit. It's all of my white trash friends saying that we should go looting and stuff. All of my minority friends are terrified by all this. Yep, it's opening up the old workspace. Like that doesn't look right. Shots fired amid George Floyd protests in Denver. How many places were there? You know what? Donald Trump is saying stuff, but there was already shooting. They was already shooting. Yeah, it's not in there. So we're going to do that. Yes. No. Oops. They need to go home. Locals rage at rioters as Minneapolis burns. So the locals in Minneapolis think that the looters are people from out of town, I guess. Why is this not showing up? Okay, I forgot to close the. Oy. Okay. Oh, of course. They drop it. Good 3 ticks while I'm doing that. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so the dollar has risen. It is now at 98.17, and before it was below 98. Okay, Ninja Trader. What did you do? Let's go. Now that we got it fixed, let's go through the logs and see why it did that. Log. So probably this log. Failed. Failed to restore indicator IRTFC. One or more properties renamed. Okay. No. Well, we should. I think that to fix that, I just have to remove the indicator and add it back on. No, like crashing errors. And what about this one? Well, that's interesting. So maybe I should just rebuild the whole thing. Nah, I'm just going to do the one that has, this is the only one that has the TFC on it anyways. Okay. Mini's still kind of.
CH Trading says so I start trading the overnight MES 10 p.m. Took a short at 3028 and I took profit at 3024.25 small win but I was good. I have to trade overnight from now on.
28, 24. Oh yeah, yeah. That's yeah. You could. That's workable. I think the issue with trading overnight really comes in if you really want to rely on order flow, just because it's like the amount of liquidity out there is not going to be enough to stop anyone. You know what I mean? But I don't recommend just trading just off. You want to know what's going on, right? So what the flows are and what the Asian traders. Well, and that's the other issue is you're trading the Asian session and you don't speak Japanese, then it can be really hard to understand what's going on. So like Zerv is a guy in Discord that he lives in Japan and he trades that and he does a really good job. But he understands what's going on in those markets at that time. Whereas I don't as much. You know, I don't know what the Bank of Japan is doing. I don't know who runs the Bank of Japan. I don't, you know, I don't know what Asian newspapers are saying. So that's kind of the other issue. Okay, so hopefully that save of the workspace fixes it. And after the stream, I can go and check and see and rebuild the workspace if I have to. So somebody shot and nobody knows who it was in both of these instances. The protests. Oh, we're getting close to the E-mini open. The volume on this is going to be interesting. Oh, by the way, remember, We got the Chicago PMI. The number comes out early. Fed semester. Recovery could be slow, hard to imagine it as V-shaped. Firefighters in Minneapolis still scrambling. I really want to see what Twitter's going to open up at. I really want to see what Twitter's going to open up at. They closed at 3160. So let's say they open at 25. Okay. Federal Reserve's June 9th through 10th policy meeting could lay groundwork for a forthcoming reset to support a virus-stricken economy, tweets Wall Street Journal central banks. They're being a little flaky there about the 5 years, saying, sure, yeah, we'll take down. Okay, they do. Market ear, deflationary risks on the horizon. Collapsing money velocity and wages are about to crash.
Algo Lover says 6:18 a.m. Algo Lover S if sellers maintain offer below 3046, then 3003 target. If 3046 breaks before trading lower, then anticipate squeeze higher nerd face.
That is concerning that the velocity of money has changed.
Algo Lover says TGIF. HAGWE, thumbs up.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Fed's Meister says she views yield curve control as a support for forward guidance if the Fed were to use it.
RJ Wheel says likes chat me do.
Good job. How could fact checking ever be a bad thing? The only limit to fact checking should be the time and expense of
RJ
doing
Wheel
so.
says like
No.
stream.
The who fact checks the fact checkers? Well, the E-minis being kind of all over the place here, and the treasuries are kind of responding to it, which I think is interesting. I think in the longer run, though, there's some people that need to do some rebalancing and that they'll buy it up. Got about a minute. Canada extends prohibition of large cruise ships from ports until October 31st. Italy's economy shrinks more than initially estimated in the first quarter as coronavirus restrictions batter the economy, tweets Bloomberg. Sean Hannity, AOC challenger, drops out of the race, blames Cuomo's draconian shutdown. Now, Al Sharpton's going to Minnesota. Okay. First impulse is short.
RJ Wheel
Not
says
huge volume
sharing
behind
room
it.
costs with Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, right. It's not huge volume behind it yet. Let's let them work it out. Oh, they're pushing. Well, they're pushing below the last swing low in the overnight session. They've got a little bit to go. 1350 before we're below the last major swing low in the overnight session. Not too far off. Twitter opens at 31. 31.50. About where it closed. But it's already down 10 cents. If I was a stock trading guy, I would be over there shorting it. That they opened at 31.50. Hell yeah. Easy call. President Trump, the censorship and bias is a threat to freedom itself. Imagine if your phone company silenced or edited your conversations. Thank you, President. He's right. I think he's right. Okay, well, decent amount of volume built here at 16 now in the E-mini. $6J is heading down. So just remember that Chicago PMI is out there and will be coming in about 10 minutes, and that tends to be a relatively significant number. So the market is going to be a little flaky until that happens. So there was the first impulse was down, and it was about 3,000 contracts short. Now the buyers are trying their side. Okay, so above the open there. Okay, so there's a decent amount trading there at 23. IMF warns key economic indicators may be less accurate due to coronavirus pandemic. Yes, hence why news is not mattering as much. Economic news not mattering as much. Okay, so a little bit of a test there on the highs, and they're now back to the open again. I can see that the volume and the advanced decline and all of that is negative starting out the day. Trend is coming down from yesterday, though. Okay, they're pushing below again. They're now at 31. Forex Live tweets major indexes open with mixed results. Okay, bud. Well, they did get below the open there for a second. Well, they're still below it, but they didn't really push nearly as far at this time yet. So it seems like buyers are still trying to do their thing. I'm a little concerned that the retail traders don't know that the PMI number comes out early. Twitter adds fact-checking labels to hundreds of tweets despite Trump attacks. Wow, they are like doubling down hardcore. Ugh, I would sell the fuck out of Twitter. Now below 31. Twitter, that is. Wait, this was in Salt Lake? In the court? Oh, this is not in Salt Lake. They said Lake Street, and I'm like, what? In Salt Lake? No, it wasn't. It was somewhere else. They're giving it way more fight at the moment in the E-mini than I think is justified. Wouldn't be surprised if they do Trump trade conference after 4 p.m. That might be true. That's not a bad theory. I mean, that they haven't said anything about it says to me it's not going to be this morning.
Mike A says hello again.
Hello, Mike. This was kind of interesting action because the buyers seem to be really intent on holding it up and pushing it, but then every time that they get to the open, it fizzles out really quickly. Like the delta that I'm seeing fighting to get to highs right here seems foolish, given that in a minute there's going to be Chicago PMI numbers. So you're not going to get the people to push pricing in your direction. You could be buying maybe if you think that the number is going to be good, then you can buy, sure. You would want to buy passively as they're selling it. So why try and push your price your direction before the news?
Lucas says good morning Seth, I hearing you are bullish.
Well, in treasuries, I've done okay in treasuries, I guess. I didn't really pick my price very good at first, but I'm see a lot of reason for there to be flows into the treasuries today. But for the moment, they seem to be really watching the E-minis. So maybe I'm wrong.
Lucas says I kinda miss treasuries.
Yeah. They've made some good moves this week. It's actually not terrible anymore. Okay, 10 seconds. See, not everybody's pulling. Okay. So we don't know the number yet because we're not a subscriber, but there was some reaction there. And it doesn't look good so far. So we'll wait 3 minutes.
Lucas says when is Trump's conference due?
No, they haven't said yet. So a lot of people are speculating that it won't be until after the close, which I think would be prudent.
Mike A says what is shortcut for NT documentation?
I don't know if there's a shortcut. I just
Lucas says oh so it will be a surprise.
I'm sure they'll announce it later.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says.
That's the Ninja Trader 8 documentation. Okay, despite that, push down, the buyers aren't stopping the fight.
Kevin Wimmer says I have seen several times now that they don't break the London low the first try during the open. Gonna test this on sim. Today bounce 5T from the low, Wednesday 7T and Tuesday 1T. Mike A says thanks.
It does seem like that they've had a hard time beating some of the overnight numbers, haven't they? Kind of both directions, but like they do eventually, but not right away. Like it normally would be like in the opening drive, they would just do it immediately, and that was all there was to it. But yeah, see, look, cumulative delta is climbing still. Okay, well, about 45 seconds till we get to know the news. Ted Cruz is calling for a criminal investigation of Twitter over
Kevin
allegations
Wimmer
of
says you
companies
would have always
violating
gotten
U.S.
something like
sanctions
5
against Iran.
points. If you would have gotten in like 7 to 8T from the low.
Okay, buyers still pushing. Ted Cruz calling for an investigation of Twitter, but I haven't seen now their price is reacting. Now it's definitely down below 31. Okay, here's the news. The estimate is 40. I haven't gotten the number yet. Why y'all being slow? 32. 32, spot 4 versus an expected 40. Worse than expected. Worse than expected. I don't know how bad. How bad is that? That's a pretty bad miss. That is a pretty bad miss. Wow. Okay, so now buyers are having their day. I'm surprised Treasury's reacting to that as strongly as they are.
CH Trading says I can't wait for the bear to come to the market. I am long in the TVIX for 2 week. Lol.
Well, I think, in my opinion, the economic news is bad.
CH Trading says doesn't look too good for me anyway. Lol.
Economic news is bad. We do have some more coming, consumer confidence, which could also be bad. But the flows are still long, and I don't see any reason for that to change until next week. So, but it is appearing to me. We'll see. We'll see. The thing is that maybe my trade doesn't happen until later in the day. Okay. A little bit of a concerning turn there. Must be over here. Yes, there it is. No. Well, I do see like some long delta, since the open, but it kind of looks like a retracement of like earlier stuff. So now the Donald Darwin is under a denial of service attack. That's why I was having trouble. I really thought it was just they had too many users, but apparently not. They've already mitigated it, apparently. So they claim. Okay, so I'm seeing 1,000 there. Why you go down tick? IMF urges stock investors to pay more attention to climate risks. Okay. Will do. Thank you, IMF. This is an incredibly important factor to consider here at this moment in time. How's Twitter doing? 3084, they're not dropping like a rock, but they're down. Actually, pretty volatile since opening today. Fire sparks round the clock rush to fill gold vaults. Okay. There's a decent amount of contracts going through there at 30.25. Not enough for it to like outright turn it on its own, but maybe it happens. Sticks and Hammer. Is it racist to suggest that property owners should be protected against looting, rioting, and mobs? Man. It's crazy that this is the discussion we're having. Hmm. The 5 year seems to really be trying to push down, but the 10 year not so much on the book. Ivanka Trump helps Treasury prioritize $10 billion funding for minority-owned small businesses. Good job. Got to have a big red inside bar there. So if they break down, I'd have to say 30, 22, 50. 30, 22, 50, and then maybe, yep, there it is. You can go short. Quick stop run kind of makes me rethink that now. But as long as it doesn't come back above you. I don't know how it turns out, but it just doesn't look very good to me at the moment for the mini. There's below the open again. There's below 20. Curious to see if the treasuries decide to snap back.
Sunday Driver says, why do you watch treasuries more than anything else?
Because treasuries are very consistent and easier to read order flow because there's less outs. There's less markets for people to like. In the index, you watch the order flow, but I mean, really, what controls it is the index itself and people buying stocks. So what you might see in the order flow might be wrong because really, what you're just looking at is traders trying to predict where the S&P 500 is going to go per se. Whereas in the treasury, the volume very much is what moves it. Of course, they play games with the book because of that. And the treasuries are also very economically sensitive. So it might not seem like it right now because, they're up and the Federal Reserve is probably not going to change policy for a long time, but treasuries can be a very good way to play certain types of moves. And they're the thickest, which is what we really like, is thick.
Sunday Driver says, wouldn't you also want to watch currencies?
I do. I have one over here. You see, I have the euro, the Japanese yen, gold, and then the dollar index. So I think what's happening is that the Japanese yen has been falling pretty hard against the dollar rising. And that might be responsible for the flow down. And the flow that I was expecting to see to come in today so far hasn't shown up yet. So I'm kind of testing my ability to read the forces in the 10-year in a way that I haven't been before, and I may just end up being disastrously wrong. So it's I would call it an experiment. Extraordinary that Twitter flags a presidential tweet as supporting violence, yet it has no red flag about Antifa tweets applauding violence, and in this case, advocating the burning down of police stations. Yes. I really don't think there's some people defending Twitter. I don't think they're seeing the full picture. I think they're screwed. I think they're so screwed. Jack Dorsey is not going to be president of Twitter for much longer. Twitter at 30.50 right now. So down a whole $1 now. Nate Silver tweeting something interesting there. Somebody was asking about if there was a pneumonia-related surge in Florida, accusing the state of hiding the number of coronavirus deaths. And Nate Silver says there's not. People have been mixing and matching two non-comparable data sources and not accounting for the fact that deaths can be classified as pneumonia and COVID-19. Well, that was a pretty okay downturn. It didn't take us to a new low in cumulative delta, but it didn't take us to a new low in price either. So they're just going to continue battling it out, see where they go. The treasuries certainly seem to be taking this turn a little bit more seriously. Still don't like that they are being so sensitive.
Lucas says, personally, I got tired of the types of trades you're taking right now on treasuries. See, you can't even get 4 goddamn ticks out of it. Meanwhile, S is giving plenty opportunities back and forth.
Well, I think the issue with the 10-year treasury, and it really can be an advantage if you master it, is that you really have to know what's going on. Who's playing in that market? Why is it moving? There should be a good number of there's going to be a lot of rebalancing in the stock market today. I don't know where it's going to go. It could be bad because a lot of portfolio managers that have been long the E-mini are going to have to sell their stocks and buy bonds. And that's what I was hoping for. But the thing is they don't have to do that at the open, right? So I don't know if the trade has been invalidated yet or not. Donald Horsey. What I don't even know. I don't even know what that is. It's just a weird picture, and I'm not going to show you. It must be a combination of Jack Dorsey and Donald Trump. It really is. What's going on Twitter is stunning to me. That if you come in and you say that looting eventually leads to violence, then that is bad and we have to censor it. Saying that there are concerns about mail-in voting and fraud, that apparently is a big problem and we have to censor it. But all of these people on from Antifa saying, "Yay, let's burn down the police department," and no censorship. What the actual living fuck, Twitter? Like, seriously. And they're like doubling down on this battle with Donald Trump. I think these guys are out of their minds. If if I owned any stock, well, I'd probably be selling it. But let's say I had power.
He said looting will bring the shooting, which is kind of shocking coming from a president.
I probably shouldn't have said that, right? But the thing is what he said was he quoted somebody else that says you looting. What was it? Looting will bring the shooting. Yeah. I mean, it's a threat. It's no question. It's a threat. No question. It's a threat. Right. That's how you maintain order. You bring the National Guard in, and then you say, "Hey, stop fucking around, or we're going to, put this down by force." That's why you bring the National Guard in. That's what the leader's supposed to do in that situation. That is what, I'm sorry, but that's what you do. I do not believe it is wise for Twitter to try and censor that. That is President doing his job. You bring the National Guard in to maintain order. I really don't. I mean, the thing is like what happened in the LA riots. They brought in the National Guard. They said, "Don't fuck with us." Riots stopped. I can give you countless examples. This is like run-of-the-mill stuff in the United States. And Twitter doing this is like, you guys have no vision of the history of this, or what regular everyday people are going to think.
Lucas says the wording, though. He is not talking about establishing order. He's talking about shooting.
Is. Well, sure he is. He's saying if you loot, you will be shot. That's what he's saying. It is a threat. It is, I don't want to say promoting violence, but it is a threat designed to discourage people from continuing to riot.
Sunday Driver says with millions unemployed, any riot should be squashed very early.
Yeah. Oh, here they're going for the low now. Ooh, they're going for it. Yeehaw. I just really don't think it is wise for a social media company to to censor and hide the tweet of the president
Lucas
of the
says there are
United
several ways
States.
that you can bring order. That could eventually happen, shooting, but he went straight to it. And it's a country with some
Well,
problems
that's not
about
true.
shootings also.
So what else is it that they're supposed to have done that they haven't done yet? Like this is like Lucas, did 50 buildings were burned down. You know what? Something that is really infuriating was before, and I think probably still at this time, nobody had died or been shot or anything like that, except for one, or nobody had been arrested. Nobody had been arrested except for one person. There was a pawn shop owner, and there were people rioting, and he shot two or one. I guess there's conflicting reports, but the police are only reporting one. Reported he shot a looter, and so the police came and arrested that shop owner. And then after they arrested the shop owner, then the looters then looted and destroyed his store. How how can any business owner justify owning a business in that neighborhood ever if you defend yourself and the police arrest you and allow the protesters to loot your store? Are you kidding me? Do you know what you do in a situation like that? You bring in the National Guard. And you say, "Hey, if you don't stop looting, we will shoot you." That's what it means when you bring in the National Guard. It's implied. Yeah, they say the things because, you know, they're just saying what everybody else already knows. I don't see what else you're supposed to do. Violence is the last resort. We're already to the last resort, guys. 50 businesses. That if I lived in that city, I would take everything that I can carry in my car and just leave. No joke. Move to Texas or hey, look, we have good stuff here in Utah. I don't necessarily want tons of people to move to Utah, but I'm just saying, like, you're a shop owner, you defend your shop, and you get arrested, and then your shop gets looted. 50 buildings looted in the past 24 hours, burned down. Don't live there anymore, guys. Don't live there. Don't live there. It is way beyond this already. I don't think you realize. I don't want to be like criticizing, but I don't think you realize how bad this has gotten. And with Twitter is now fanning the flames, it could only get worse. There was shootings in Denver. There were shootings in Maryland. Whew, man, this could be such a shit show today.
Lucas says I agree with you. I do. I just think it was a poor choice of words for him.
Well, it probably. I mean, the thing is it wasn't necessarily his words. They were quoting somebody else. But yeah, I wouldn't have done it. I agree. I wouldn't have done it. That's why when I came on in at the very beginning, I said looting is not okay. It is appropriate for the government to restore order using the National Guard, and if you own Twitter stock, you should sell it. That is the politically correct way to say it, right?
Sunday Driver says LA riots were still worse. So far.
Were they really? I guess I was a little kid when that happened. I remember it happening. And then it was like I didn't hear anything about it. And I was like, what happened? Well, they brought the National Guard in and put a stop to it. And I was like, oh, that's why it ended so quickly. That's why I'm like shocked that they're still, you know.
RJ Wheel says the press conference yesterday was shameful.
You know what? I wasn't able to watch it. I looked everywhere for a live feed and I couldn't find it. So I just didn't bother watching it. But I really believe that Twitter is overstepping their bounds. They are straight up acting like a publisher. They are straight up acting as an editor and a publisher. They shouldn't be given the protections that they have. They can choose to be an editor and a publisher if they want to, but then they can't pretend to be an and what is the word, a neutral a neutral observer that is only providing a service for people to communicate with. They clearly are not, and they shouldn't have the legal protections of that. Just like that, a phone line company cannot just say, "Oh well, we don't like what you're doing, so you can't use the phone anymore." You're not allowed to do that. And don't think that they should be allowed to do that with Twitter either. I think that it's an important enough service that protecting it, ensuring that it is a place where people can practice free speech is important. Twitter has always been far left. I don't think people realize. I remember I've always been super into anything that is the internet and social media. I'm always like the front of, like streaming. We started streaming fairly early on and all of that. And back in Twitter, back in those days, the thing was microblogging. They called it microblogging, and it was Twitter, and there was other competitors, and I liked using those competitors. But like Twitter, they had I don't think she's around anymore, but Ariel Waldman was the community manager, communication gal for Twitter, and you know what? She was friends with all of the liberal activists. Twitter, many of these services grew in popularity in part because they formed alliances with political action groups. So the Twitter has always been kind of far left. And now I really think that they've bitten off more than they can chew. I think the company is screwed. The further on this goes, the more the market will realize how screwed they are. And hopefully the investors are able to force Jack Dorsey out before too much damage is done.
RJ Wheels says newspapers can't print letters to editor that are libelous or hate. Kevin Wimmer says, man, they are really teasing the daily low. Now bounced twice there.
So, I mean, the thing is that if you
Trading says traders have a good weekend.
If you are a newspaper and somebody posts something in your newspaper that is libel or hate, then you can be sued for it. True. If you are Twitter and somebody posts something that is libelous or hateful, you cannot sue them.
Would you say investors are overall primary conservative people?
No. I think investors are everybody. Everybody likes money. Even liberals, even I know communists that day trade. Good grief. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah. If you're Twitter and somebody posts something that is libelous or directly promotes violence, then you can be sued for it. That you can't be sued for it because you're Twitter, because you have these protections. And if you are the phone company and somebody says something that is libelous or hateful, then the phone company is fine. And if the phone company cuts that person off because they didn't like what they said, or they go and they censored the phone conversation, then the phone company would be sued. I believe that Twitter is more like a phone company than it is a newspaper. That's my argument. Despite moving down to the lows and pushing the lows, the buyers are still like trying to push it. Now I wonder, how are we doing in Delta? New Delta low coming back up. So far, they seem to all be in line and perfectly okay. Man, they came back up there. They got close, but we did not get our 30 half, did we? think we could still get there, but they definitely did the balancing at 29. I probably should have taken one off up there. You could have worked the spread several times and be up a decent amount in ZN. Yeah. Well, I did one time, 1 or 2 times. I probably should have taken it off at 29 there because there was some balance. But I thought that the balance was going to be at 30.5. That's why I put it. And then I thought that I could just stop paying attention, I guess. I am. Well, we could move. Well, let's just let it do its thing. I'm kind of not liking the trade anymore just because I'm not really seeing the flow that I think I should.
Lucas says I want to trade, but Powell will probably fuck us up at the top of the hour.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, I didn't even have. Oh, yes, I do. 9 o'clock. Well, we're past the consumer sentiment numbers. Consumer sentiment was not actually so bad. 72.3 and 65.9 for consumer expectations. Does seem to be a factor in why we moved down, but the Hill, Minneapolis erupts for third night as protest spread. Trump vows retaliation. That's not what he said. Looting and Donald Trump retweeting. Looting is not protesting. Burning down local homes and businesses is not protesting. How sad the memory of George Floyd has been lost in all of this. Yes.
Lucas says, oh, that's a nice baby Yoda back there.
Is there?
Lucas says Yoda asterisk WTF.
Shoda. Maybe that should be his name. His baby Yoda is Shoda. Or Boda, because it's baby Yoda. Maybe they should call him Boda. Alright, they're trying to buy it. They did cross a significant line there. I don't think I've ever seen those moving averages cross quite so much like an X like they are right now. They had an outside bar there up. They're going to try and cancel it out. No, buyers are holding it. What you gonna do? If they were to break 30.15, that would be pretty. I think that would be significant. It ends up being an inside bar. Going for it. Okay. Sky News reporting that a Chinese biotech firm are claiming 99% chance that their COVID-19 vaccine will work. Okay, yeah, I don't know if that matters. I'm done with vaccine headlines. There's going to be a vaccine at some point. Cool. We all know that. That was a pretty ugly orange bar there. Month-end flows a factor in the dollar moves and GBP rally. Yes, probably. And probably in stocks as well. There's probably a lot of funds that have to sell some stocks today. Apple is actually on offer today. Amazing.
Kevin Wimmer says, what is with that inability to take out the overnight low? This is getting sad, lol.
I don't know. Well, they did. They did take it out, didn't they? Yeah. Well, they took out that initial one. Is there a bigger one? Yeah, there is. It's 3011. Somebody's defending it too hard. That means I think there's a really high chance that they're going to take it out. Look at the delta in the lower right.
RJ Wheel says, so you are saying as a phone co, Facebook and Twitter should do absolutely no censorship? Kevin Wimmer says, no, they didn't. They bounced twice on the tick and now one tick short.
They can be allowed to do certain kinds of censorship. For instance, they could censor you for speech that would cause imminent violence. True, they could. But if they're going to do that, then they would have to have extremely clearly laid out law things. I guess they do lay that one out, and they would have to apply it fairly. Right now, there are a lot of people saying to burn the police precinct, and those people aren't getting censored. So, right? If they were censoring everybody for anything that was violent, then they would be okay.
RJ Wheel says, but that's the problem. There's no way to balance it.
Sure there is. If somebody says something violent and it gets reported, it should be deleted. There's a way to balance it. You have a very, very strict set of guidelines, and there should be no question about where something lies.
Sunday Driver says they can censor if you are engaging in criminal conduct, like cocaine trafficking. Political speech should never be censored. It's always been the most protected speech.
Yes, and this is where we are a little bit into a gray area, but I think that they can define it clearly, and they should be more specific. I cannot get on Twitter and say, please go out and shoot Donald Trump right now. I can't say that. That is not legal. If I went in and I said that, the Secret Service would show up at my house. Right? That's not allowed. But you can say it's appropriate to restore order using the National Guard, and if that involves having to shoot people, then that would be appropriate too. I mean, you technically that is advocating for violence, isn't it? So can they censor that? I don't think that they should, because I mean, it has to be said. There are certain situations where violence is where government use of violence is appropriate, and this is one of them. So, but they can sit down and they can define that, and as long as they enforce that rule equally and fairly. The thing that I have a problem with is things like zero hedge getting banned. That was not okay. They claimed that they were doxing or harassing, but they were just posting information that was publicly online, and it's fine. They did nothing wrong. They banned zero hedge for political reasons. No question about it. No question about it. And it's not okay. Please do hit that low. There'd be so many stops. It'll be so much fun. Don't give me blue balls here. They're going. Yeah. That's some stops. That was okay. Those some okay stops. A little bit of covering there. Let's see. They take another little sweep, and there could probably be a lot more than that. There's going to be a couple of people that can be like, oh yeah, I move my, I want to build it. There you go. See, there's always that guy that says, well, I don't want my stop right at the low. It should be like 2 points below the low. So now you just stopped him out too.
RJ Wheel says overnight low retest.
I was reading a thread on Reddit the other day, and this, I don't want to be too hard on the guy, but he was saying a lot of things that I just thought were like really good examples of things that traders say themselves that are not good. And one of he was short yesterday up at the highs, but he was like 10 points before the highs, so he felt like he averaged into it as it went against him. And then he got stopped out, and he feels like if he had a bigger stop, then he could have stayed in. And
Kevin Wimmer says big brain time. See guys, that's why you don't use stops. Else you lose money.
And I'm thinking, well, if you need 10 points to find out if you're right or wrong, then you probably don't have that good of a strategy, in my opinion, right now. I mean, obviously volatility changes and everything, but today, if you need 10 points, think about that. All the way up to 18. Like, that's my whole DOM here. Maybe if you're swinging, but probably you can be more accurate than that. But the thing that I thought was interesting was that he kept saying, based on my VWAP bounds, it was incredibly overbought. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm just like, I'm thinking there, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what the people that are buying it because they have to, because there are flows, there's money coming into the market, it wants to come in the market, it doesn't know where to go, and that means that the asset prices have to rise as the supply is taken out and have no chase. They don't care
Kevin
where
Wimmer
the
says I'm
VWAP
using
is.
4,000 points stop. So my short during the Trump election is still looking okay. Only 1,000 points behind. Profit is gonna be soon. Any day now. Lucas says I still don't understand why for some people it has to matter.
I don't get it. There's this idea that it has to conform to the indicator. It's not. You realize that all the indicator says is this is what the typical performance of the stock is, or the asset, or the behavior of it. And that's what you're trading it off of, is what is typical behavior. Yeah. What makes you think that right now, of all times, that the market is going to act typically? No, sir. Your indicator don't mean shit in that situation. Your overbought indicator, at least. That doesn't mean that technical analysis is not useful. But if you're trying to use technical analysis and ignore the fundamentals of what's going on, you're going to have a hard time.
You look for 3 out of 5s.
Yeah. You're going to have a hard time if your analysis is as simple as if we're X standard deviations above the VWAP to go short. Like, it's a problem, dude. It's not a good strategy. I've backtested that one. And it always bothers me when I see people doing a strategy that like we've tried or backtested and have found serious problems with, right? That day when it's going to go through your VWAP, they're going to stop you out, and it's going to be very ugly, and you're going to miss a very good move. And the reality is that even if you do catch that one and it comes back, it maybe only comes back a little bit. Doesn't retrace all the way. That's very rare. So really what's happened is you missed out on the real trade, which was going long at the open. Going long when they sold on the open and then getting out somewhere at the high, which is what I should have done, but I got out early. And then you could have, been out, and then when you heard that Donald Trump was going to have a press conference today, you could sell it and made money on the sell, right? But he's sitting here thinking, well, I was right. And I was like, well, you're only right because Donald Trump. What if they had gone up to a new high? How dumb would you feel then? Anyways, it was kind of everywhere I'm looking at like new retail traders and the things that they're saying. I'm just like, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you have an indicator. It gives you a chance that it will move down, but it doesn't have to, because the indicator doesn't matter. The indicator doesn't influence the stock. What influences the stock is people buying and selling, and things that are prompting them to buy and sell. If you want to predict a price movement, look at the fundamentals.
Lucas says the market will take their money like taking candies from a baby.
And this
Sunday
is what I
Driver
was
says
saying
Twitter
yesterday.
just flagged
Like,
a tweet from the official White House account.
what? I haven't seen that one yet. What was the tweet about? Was it about restoring order in Minnesota? This is what's happened. There's this radical left activist at Twitter that says we should be censoring all this stuff, and they've been screaming about it for 3 months. And Jack Dorsey finally said, "Okay, fine. Like, just do it, even if it's the president. Go ham."
Sunday Driver says I think it was a retweet of the thug tweet.
Okay, so let me tell you what. When I woke up this morning, I open up and I do my reading. I read the news stuff, and then I go and check out Reddit, and I see the top post is about Donald Trump's thug comment. And so I sort by controversial, and like the first thing that I see in there is somebody linking to time when people were rioting in Baltimore, and Obama said that people rioting in Baltimore are thugs. Obama said it and used the exact same language to describe looters. And I was like, well, if Obama said it, then that's the end of this right here. And I just shut it and got in the shower right then and there because I knew that the whole thing was bullshit. But then it turned into the violence tweet and Twitter censoring it and this whole other mess. I tell you what, if I don't think that regular everyday people are going to be as interested as in the market today.
RJ Wheel says thug to me. I think of mobsters, loan sharks, muscle for criminal organizations. It's not a racist word.
Yeah, I don't read any, but I'm in Utah. There's no, I mean, this is the thing. It's not something that I find so interesting is that, should I say interesting? I don't know. It requires, it seems to me that it requires exposure to a racial group for somebody to be racist. And the more exposure they have, the more likely they are to be racist. I think it's just a human nature sort of a thing. Well, there's a pretty big iceberg at 29.5. Actually surprised as we've come down. We broke the low. Treasury is not that excited by it. I think there could be more in this. I would really like to see 3,000 again. 3,000 would be fun. They have to go to 29. So here's the thing. If they got to 29.32, then there would be like real carnage by all. It would be so hard for them to get down there. Well, I don't like that. Normally they would go through that iceberg and go 2 more ticks, and they didn't, and I'm disappointed. They did make a slightly higher low there for a moment, and it looks like a few people are excited about it. I can see the Japanese yen pushing down again. Weird number in this BEA income report. It has U.S. paying out $430 billion in unemployment insurance in April. Treasury data shows just $48 billion went out in April, assuming this is an accounting issue. Diane Swank says it suggests a very large drop in May as the stimulus and tax side of the adjustment plays out. The accounting of these transfers often reflect the reality of timing, which is critical when assessing the actual impact on people's lives. Food insecurity has surged in recent months. Well, the 10-year is moving around a little bit more easily than it normally would, don't you think? I'm a little thirsty. I want to go get some water, but I don't want to step away from this. Well, I'm going to do it anyways. Be right back. You know what? The AC should be turning on. What's wrong? This Nest thermostat. Let me tell you what, guys. In terms of comfort, has not been very effective. Look at this. It says that it should be 70, and you can't even see it. Don't worry about it. It says that it should be 72 degrees, and right now it's letting it be 73. Dear Nest, you suck. Ugh. Pompeo said U.S. authorities would not allow Chinese student to engage in espionage. They've been talking about kicking Chinese students with ties to the Chinese military, talking about kicking them out of school. Okay, Future Trader 71 says ESF scenario 1 is on its way, pushed up early, didn't get to 36, then rotated down for a key target at 3008, extended target is 2997. Okay. Well, it sure did bounce there at 08. To the tick, but I think there's more. I think there's more. Donald Trump, the National Guard has been activated in Minneapolis. They arrived on the scene. George Floyd will not have died in vain. Respect his memory. Yeah, this is the thing that I also think is really crazy about this whole situation is that the administration has taken the Floyd thing very seriously. They expedited investigations into the officers there and everything. Like they're totally on the people who are upset about the George Floyd's killing. They're totally on their side. Just like don't freaking loot people. It's so weird that they've been able to create this division over something where because nobody thinks that what happened was okay. I just don't get it. Nobody thinks that what happened was okay. They just don't think that the U.S. government should be overthrown. Okay, so wow, when they slipped, they win a whole 2 points through. Okay, but back to the low. Somebody trying to hold it, I guess. I don't know. That's not that much. That's not that much volume yet. It's just kind of sitting there. Okay, well, 29.5 is still showing interest, and it's shown some interest in the past. So the 30.5 was the big spot today. I think there's still a good chance that we could go through. There's not an iceberg there this time, so that's cool. And they're not offering very much when it ticks down either. 23 contracts. Alan Howard's hedge fund has returned 100% this year. Uh-oh, it looks like Alan is about to try and sell me Forex signals on Instagram. Rand Squawk. Oh, that's freaking hilarious, dude. I really like the Rand Squawk guys. I'm telling you what, Rand Squawk. I'm working hard, and at the end of the summer, when I'm taking the trading a little bit more seriously, I am totally buying a subscription. That is 100% my goal. There's a bunch of other things that I want to do first, but it's totally my goal to get us income stream to get a Rand Squawk subscription. I like them so much, and their service really is good. I'm giving you a plug. You should be nice to me. Anyway,
RJ Wheel says, why aren't those guys charged yet? Ace Trade says morning.
Well, they were, weren't they? I think that they're still investigating, but come on, they're gonna get charged, no question. Let the system work it out. If they go and they acquit the officers, and there's not some sort of other information that comes out, and I really don't see how there can be at this point. If the officers get acquitted, then you have reason to be like super upset. But even then, don't go and loot. Listen, that's the worst thing that you can do. You know why Dr. King, Martin Luther King was so effective? Because it was so peaceful. They went in, the cops, they could beat them and be awful and be terrible as they wanted, and is no way that they would do anything back. It was 100% peaceful, so that there was never any question, no question ever, that they could throw against the protesters. If you're going to protest, make it 100% peaceful. Make it 100% peaceful. It is so much more effective. Everything that I've seen in history says that peaceful protests are more effective, generally speaking, unless you're a communist. So, like, guys, like, I would love to see something done about police brutality in the United States. So please stop rioting, because that is the worst thing that you can do for that cause right now. People aren't going to listen. People are stupid, man. I hate it. I hate it because I keep looking at it and saying, oh, people are dumb. People are so stupid, guys. But, like, am I so smart? I really don't think I am, and I just feel so dumb saying that sort of a thing. But I can't help but feel like when people are doing and saying this stuff, like it's just crazy. Good morning, Ace. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not seeing. I already ran out of requests? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. When are we going to get to hear Bot's voice again? It's kind of cool. Oh, we could do it. We should do that. You could come on right now if you want. Set up a thing. Let's see here. At the press conference, the investigator indicated that there was evidence to support a lack of criminality. He misspoke, but that was a very mad statement to rile up people. Oh, really? Yeah. By the way, if I get that. They might go way past that, but they might not. They might stop short of that too. So I'm a little wary. Like they're pulling there at 31, right? They're pulling right at the value high. I should have my finger on that one. They did not hit it. What else were you saying? It's so bad a cop can't take a knee anymore. Why is it so darn hard to move the targets and stops on the screen trader with Ninja Trader? I fat finger them all the time. I don't know, man. I tell you what, like I just don't like the order entry in Ninja Trader. That's my biggest problem with the platform. One the most common requests that I get from people as of the last month or so is like, how do I add a button to the chart to buy or sell at a certain price? How do I, that's all adding buttons and stuff because they don't like the way that the chart trader works. And on their DOM, it's a problem too because the DOM bounces around. It really is such an advantage, in my opinion, to entering your orders on the DOM, especially in the treasury, because the where you get in the queue matters. So hard to get a right spot in the queue with a chart, even if you have a level 2 indicator on there, man. I have to use chart trader since the DOM is such a freaking nightmare. I'm sure that for a lot of those people, the DOM is too scary. Dan H says the evidence might have been lost in the fire. The thing is I don't really know a whole lot about what's been going on with the investigation, and I'm so confident based on what I've seen that cop is going to get the book thrown at him. You might see stuff here and there and people get upset about it. I would just until the verdict comes out, I just ignore it. It's all just media hype to get people riled up. Well, I don't see why you would want to stop at 3,004. Wouldn't you go down to 3,000? Come on. And frankly, 97. Why is it that Futures Trader 71 says 97? I keep meaning to go and rewatch his videos to see where he puts his 97 is a naked point of control. Okay, yeah. I think that that's very likely to hit. Yes, I agree with Futures Trader 71. 29, 97 is a highly likely target. Okay, so that was the price where I was saying like, and yeah, I have my finger on the trigger, and they didn't do anything. They're not doing anything at 13.5 either. So it really is sellers jumping out of the way. Ooh. And same at 31.5. Now you get to 139. There's usually a decent amount of volume at an even number. I agree about the DOM. It is nice to have your order sitting there in the queue. Sierra chart has a great DOM, but NT's DOM feels like I'm trying to do circumcision in the Gee, I agree. I really think Ninja Trader needs to fix that. They just need to redesign. They just need to redo their DOM. I know that, listen, you gotta understand that Jigsaw was a significant reason behind people moving to Ninja Trader, because Jigsaw started out as a Ninja Trader plugin. Okay. This is how I got into the Ninja Trader ecosystem, was because of Jigsaw. Right. But so they always didn't want to really update their DOM to screw over Jigsaw. And now there's some other people that have like some updated ones. You've got to do it for the sake of your platform now at this point. It's inevitable. Ninja Trader has to improve it. And one of the things is that they're going to have to pay the whatever it is so that you get a static DOM that doesn't bounce around. The stupid patent. Okay, so there's an iceberg at 139, as you should expect at an even number. Hold the boat. Well, that's a decent amount of absorption at 3004 in the TAM in the E-mini, but the target is still 2997. Kind of interesting. I'm done. You know what's funny is I came in and the first thing I said was like, well, all I have to do is buy it and we can just walk away. It ended up being a lot more complicated than that, didn't it? And you know what? If the trade hadn't worked out, I would have looked like a real idiot. So let's keep that in mind. But today it worked. I didn't take any E-mini trades. I really should have gone short, but I think that the trade was correct. So let me go back through the logic here was that there's going to be end of month rebalancing and that people are going to have to sell equities and buy treasuries. I really didn't think that equities would get hit as hard as they have, but when you think about where we're at and what happened yesterday and everything, it totally makes sense. But the trade that the treasuries were gonna move up, I think, yeah, it was a good one. Look at the cumulative delta in the 10-year. Come over here, bottom center. Cumulative delta, it's all up. So the arbitrage robots moved us down because of the Japanese yen, but because the flow of people coming in because of portfolio rebalancing was so strong, it saved us. So tell you what, guys, what do you guys think about this? I've been trying to have this argument with you guys, and you don't want to argue with me. Rich argues with me about it in Discord, and I love it and I relish it, and I'm a little unhappy that he hasn't said much today. My opinion is that you will have more consistency in day trading if you rely on fundamental information. That is information from outside of the market news, things that you know about flows and cycles and when money is coming in and out of the market and so on and so forth. I think that those are very important and that you will have more success day trading if you rely on those things more than you rely on the technical analysis. That's my position. Prove me wrong, please. Because here's the thing. It's hard. It's really hard. I have to do so much reading and research. I've been like going crazy with it. And there's so many things that I don't understand. Like this article we were talking about in the equities channel yesterday from Zero Hedge, where they were talking about the move from value and the big quant guy, I forget what his name is, but he was posting a bunch of stuff about it. And and gamma is obviously a subject that I need to do more research on. It was all very complicated stuff that I don't understand. And there's just so much news to go through. It's hard. It would be a lot easier to just sit and wait for the price to cross our moving average and trade it that way. But I just don't think that it's as effective. The early morning before 6 a.m. Central Standard Time is great for trading. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know, Dan. Here's the thing is that the way that the market is right now is not very typical. It is often the case that the E-mini doesn't really move much at all before 8 Central Time, 9 Eastern Time. And then at that top of the hour, like the 30 minutes before the E-mini gets going, then they come in and they start making their moves, which is why it's such a great time to take Ace's trade. I think that that's a really significant factor behind why that works is we're just finding out which way the momentum is at that time and running with it. But right now the volatility is so high and everything, and the liquidity is gotten lighter that you can kind of get away with a lot of stuff. Okay, so Powell is going to be speaking here now. I don't know if they're going to like release his comments or what. US dollar bid hits in USD JPY and USD CAD ahead of the fix. I don't know what that means. It did break out though, for sure. Big day for Forex stuff. And I have been trying to pay more attention to currencies as well. That JPY got creamed. I mean, they were up overnight anyways, but then all of that got washed out. I am really happy with some of my order placement in the treasury because I'm looking for areas of value and not value. And I thought there should be value at 30. There should be not value at 139.00 half. So far, that's turned out to be pretty correct. Now, maybe I should have managed that trade more and taken more sequential profits. There was kind of a little turn there in the E-mini looked really hopeful, and now they're going back across the line again. So there's tremendous controversy on mail-in voting, and I can say this there is tremendous controversy on mail-in voting, and I can say this: the Republican Party cannot let it happen. Donald Trump. I don't know if it's as big of a deal as he makes out to be. Whatever. Just fly over them with a helicopter and drop job applications in bars of soap. They'll scatter like, come on. We can be more respectful than it's funny, but my sweet spot is about half an hour before the cash opening. Yeah, half an hour before the cash. I really think that that's one of your best times. They haven't been making. I don't know. It's been kind of weird lately, hasn't it? Like you look at today. What do we have? Like this top right chart there at 7:00 would have gotten a good short, but then the open was messy. So you would have gotten your money, but you wouldn't have been able to like hold it and like let a runner go or anything like that. Now let's double check on. No, not that. In fact, let's close that. We don't need that right now. We don't need that right now. There it is. Cumulative delta. Very messy. Very messy on a 5-minute chart. Not really necessarily session low. I really think that 3097 is a good spot. I like it. I need to go back and watch Future Trader 71's trades this week, and because I want to know how effective the spots that he is mentioning are at being value areas. I look for naked pointed controls. I know he looks at that, but how well his scenarios played out. It's interesting that he was tweeting about one of his scenarios today. And he doesn't normally do that. He must really like it. Yuan at strongest levels since Wednesday's sharp move lower. Economic activity Momo rally. The market ear is a guy on Twitter that I am finding is really good to watch. And jet fuel products supplied. Oh my gosh. Just totally careening down at it. Yuan at strongest levels since Wednesday's sharp move lower. Yes. Could go much lower though. Never been this much value in value. VIX term structure remains ZZZ mode. Yeah, that is interesting. Like, so the way that the market is turning down suggests that market portfolio rebalancing, maybe maybe retail traders have run out of money to put to work. Maybe all of this shift of value rebalancing has finished, but the VIX is not saying, at least the term structure is not saying, that we're bound for some awful crash at the end of the summer, like some people seem to think. That at the end of it, well, it is a little bit higher in July, but nope. By the way, when is my birthday is on the 31st? When is that? Sunday. Oh, my birthday is on Sunday. Well, say happy birthday to me today then, because my birthday is on Sunday. It'll just be me and my wife because the kids are gone. That's cool. But you know what? I'm not really one to make a big deal out of birthdays, so. I want to come through order to traders. Like, I haven't seen anything from Anthony today. Sometimes I read Anthony Crudelli's tweets, and I'm like, is he watching the stream and trying to leave me hints? I wonder sometimes, because he tends to say something that seems to be relevant to what I'm blabbing about. China trade war have proven to be quite negative for oil. Keep a close eye on current narrative as any change in tone from Trump today put in place a top for oil. A friend of mine started a unique startup which I believe has great future products. Definitely worth consideration for investment given how food security will become a focus point as the world closes down supply international chains. It's a seed company. Okay, that's not the market here. No. Market ear tweets a lot. I'm glad I got them in a separate list. Here we go. When it comes to trading, I'd rather be unknowledgeable and nimble than smart and stubborn. I see people defend why they're right about what should be happening in the market, but yet market price disagrees with them. It's okay to be wrong. I'm wrong a lot, but it's not okay to stay wrong. Ah, yes, I think that he's right. So this is the difficult thing, is if we're taking it from a fundamental perspective, sometimes there can be price inefficiency rebalancing. I took a trade there where I got it and it went down. I didn't really get a good spot in there. I could have played that a lot better, right? We could have taken on a lot less risk to make that trade. I was willing to risk 250 on it. Actually, I was willing to risk 125, and we never got to that far. Or based on where I took it, I should have only been willing to do that. But I think that the whole thing is that if you're right about a fundamental thing and that's what really matters to the market, then you should see the market come in line with you, because you're day trading. So, if like you're a value investor, then you can afford to sit and be wrong for like weeks and months or whatever it is. But if you're a day trader, like, you want to be before everybody else, but you don't want to be on the wrong side of this, and that means that you were wrong, and maybe what you're thinking about doesn't matter to the market at that time, I'd rather be unknowledgeable and nimble. I guess that just means like take your losses quickly. I guess on that one, maybe wasn't something that we could have done. That would have been better. Would have been like, we get in, it goes down, we take the 1 tick loss, waited for it to come down there, and then we got it again or something like that. That would have maybe have been safer. Did you see the fight on CNBC? Yes. That one, my question on your ZN trade is, where would you have stopped out or been wrong? You let it trade 6 ticks against your initial entry and you had it. Yeah. So it was like, well, let's go and look. I didn't do it right. I was being stupid about it, dude. For sure. Well, hold on. Do I have to go over to here? Safe? Okay, yeah. Okay, yes. So 30 half. No, that was the last one. No, it was the first one. Oh. Okay. 30 half, 28 half. Oh, it was a little bit more different than that, because so it was right here, and then it went to here. So it went 4 ticks against me, and I bought, and then I got out, and that gave me some room. And then it went down again to 27, which was another 4 from there. But then I doubled down and got up on it. But the thing is that I don't think... why does the MFE say 1? Well, that's not right. I think that I should have... I played it the way that I did because I felt like the thing that matters is the flow, and I want to stay in it as long as possible, and I'm willing to take a bigger loss than I should, but I don't think I was paying as much attention as I should have been, because I was looking there and saying, well, I can take it off at minus 125 or minus 250, and I don't think that I got to minus 125, but I might have. I have to go back and look. But I don't think that was a really great trade from a risk management perspective, for sure. I think I was right on the trade, but I think that an entry on it was bad. You know what? I just came in and I just clicked on where it was because I didn't think it would matter. So that was foolish of me. Yeah, the Kernan versus Sorkin thing was like, wow. because it wasn't there. Like the thing that was so wow about it was that there was really no reason for them to be arguing about anything. They just really don't like each other. Powell's speech right now, do we know if it's an important one? I haven't seen. Oh, wait, actually, I do see something right now. Powell Fed is strongly committed to using its tools. I mean, anytime that the Fed speaks, that a speaker speaks, it's important, but there's no reason for me to believe that he's going to say anything significant. So. Yeah, I think we're at 30 half. I think I should have had a stop at 29 half. And then that just means that it was a bad entry location because 29 half was a bad, like I look at that and I'm like, well, I should just return out, right? I was getting in at what was value. I should have been saying, well, if they really do break out, then, and it's like in momentum, then I'll jump on. But I should have waited. I definitely should have waited. Should have waited to try and get like 29, 28 half. And then I could have taken some profit on that, or as it come back, I could have gotten out, and then when it goes lower, I could get in again and then done that. Yeah, there was definitely a better way to play it. I think we'll be able to spend a lot of time this summer focusing on that too. So now, on the other hand, I could have just gone short the E-mini, but when I look at the chart over there, man, it's so messy. This E-mini is so messy right now. Especially like, I'm sure that a lot of technical guys were thinking, oh yeah, it's going to be another buy day. And then all of a sudden it wasn't, you know? And similarly, we're looking for 29.97. They stopped short. They stopped short of that. And they're back above 08. Did I wasn't paying attention. Did we get the big time absorption down there? We kind of did. 10,000 down there at 3,007. Crude really looks like they're gonna squeeze the shorts anytime now. Didn't have the patience to sit through though. I don't know about that one, dude. Oh yeah, I can see where you say that though. I think though that the shorts are looking for Donald Trump's speech. They think that was gonna hurt oil demand. So I don't know. Why didn't we have the name set? Oh, what should I call today? Oh man. Let's just say end of month flows. The month rebalancing. That's what I'm blaming it on. End of month rebalancing. Trading. I'm gonna give it a super lame name. Played 43 to 59. My expectation was they would give the high another try, but didn't like the action. Usually on those type of plays, I would have my stop at break even. and go for a walk because sitting there and watching would make me nervous. Yeah. Yeah. I know what that's like. Well, with the Treasury one, right? I didn't want to walk away from it because it was making me nervous. I had a bit of risk on there, but it worked out. I guess I just want to reiterate again that I don't think that the way that I played that 10-year Treasury trade was very good. I took on excessive risk to try and keep myself in the trade to see how effective the trade thesis actually was. And what we learned was that the trade thesis was good, but that there were other factors we hadn't considered, particularly some of the flows from currencies that meant that we could have gotten a much better position. So we really should have played that differently. Fair enough. If you're determining direction on fundamentals, you still need a way to have precise entries. Exactly. You can be right in direction all day, but if your timing sucks, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah. And there's where I think that I tend to have a problem at the moment is that I'll see a zone. It's like this. And you can just draw it. You know, we got a zone here. Right? And I say, well, we're going to go up. I need to buy it now, or, we're going to go up. I'm going to need to buy it now, and I'm going to miss the train. And then what happens? They revert. And then they go up. So what do? How do I know when it's go time and when it's I should wait? This is probably what I need to figure out. Maybe Gary Norton has some answers. I really want that course. I think I'm going to do it. I have enough saved up. Anyways, well, in another month, I'll have enough saved up and I can do it. $9:20. Let's stick around for another 10 minutes. I'm kind of getting in there like, I feel like there's something I should be saying, but I don't know what it is, but stick around. Either way, Smash a bit. I appreciate you sticking around. You seem to know your stuff, and you've been around for a really long time. Ace trades for me, it was quite the office. It had NG and GC for quite some time, but action changed and they didn't work out for me. GC was so chaotic and thin. So back to our boys CL and E-mini. We tried CL, but it's so boring. Really? That's funny. I tell you what, CL can get so crazy. One of the things is you might have been trading it on like an EIA report day. Like on Wednesdays, you're like, yeah. On Wednesdays, it's a little, yeah. But man, when they go, I tell you one time, I think my favorite thing that I ever saw in our order flow happened very, very early on to me before we were doing the stream. And it was, I was trading oil and I'm watching it. And all of the sudden, the nearest three prices in oil, we were kind of moving down a little bit, but all of a sudden the nearest three prices, and there was a couple of sell orders and the nearest three prices just completely disappeared. Like the limit orders there just completely gone. And it was like, oh crap, like some robot or somebody's auto trading DOM thing like just crapped out. And like I immediately recognized what it was because I knew from working at Gilman that it would auto enter orders for them. Like when it ticks up, it'll auto bid and then it will auto pull. And it just does that so that you have the position in the queue if you choose. So then you say, oh, I do want that. Then you click on it and they'll stay. Right? So I knew that like somebody had just turned it all off because they had hit their limit for the day. So I just clicked it and man, that was like $1 move. It was great. Oil can be so wild and whippy. Yeah, the folks in the room wanted to look at NG Pretty Whippy, but I'm becoming more of a fan. Well, you should make them trade the 30 and 10-year treasuries. I just don't base your opinion on oil on just one experience. Honestly, right now, you can't really say you trade the E-mini, but oil is too volatile for you. They are pretty close right now. You're probably right, Kevin. Except for the amount of risk that you have to take on to trade oil. Now, the small exchange was doing oil, and or they have an oil product, and it looks reasonable. It looks like I could trade that. So then it comes back to this other question, which is why do you pick which instrument to trade? And the answer should be that the instrument to trade most effectively matches your edges. Right? So the issue that I have right now is that I want to trade on fundamentals. I don't think I understand enough about the fundamental drivers of treasuries. And what's happening that day is I really needed to be successful in the 10-year. I probably know more about what goes on in equities. And I've been doing okay with this strategy in equities. I haven't had a losing day in 2 weeks, but I've been doing risky things. So I'm not going to hold that up as like, oh, it did great. Okay. We're trading sim and I think I did some dumb things. Next week, the focus is going to be very much, now that we've done the news thing, and I think that I have some good evidence to suggest that that my change in focus has been effective for me over these past 2 weeks. Now I need to go back and tighten the risk down and get really effective entries and all of this stuff, Anyways, so like, what are my edges? I feel like I understand the markets pretty well. I don't think I understand the 10-year as much as I need to. We need to work on that. I think that I understand order flow really, really well. Where's that edge going to be the most useful? 10-year treasury, right? So, and where's the next best place? Probably E-mini. Yes. Not the other ones because they're thin. So yes. So you trade the one that you have the edge in. So here's where I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, how much do you know about the oil industry? Do you know what causes them to draw more than usual or less than usual? Or are you effective at predicting which way the draws are going to be? Like if you work for the oil industry, then I think that trading oil would be the way to go. John Botts, who's already gone today, he worked for an oil company. I think he should trade oil. Whatever. He should trade mini oil because he understands it. But then there's also things about the behavior, right? So like how trendy and how whippy it is. There's kind of some odd things about the E-mini with that, right? Because it's really volatile, but then you can get these runs that are just amazing. Sure, if they hit a gusher, everyone is covered in black stuff and they dance around happy. That's what you know. And what is the margin required for most brokers? It's a lot. $80 to $100. That's the same as 6 to 8 ticks on one contract. E-mini. Is this really too much? Well, let's see if they had micro oil. I'm gonna post a trade. Look how slow and range heavy it was. I was wrong, just a small loss. Well, for you, that's a small loss. I don't want to risk $100 on a trade. No way. I would want to have like 100,000. Well, I would want a $10,000 account to do that. And I'm trading with super tiny accounts. I like that. Yeah, I have a room full of newbies. They don't want to put $1,000 down for each contract. Yeah, no, they shouldn't. They should trade micros. They should trade to eMicro. And frankly, you might want to just say to them, if the VIX is above a certain level, just only trade SIM. Or, you have to modify your risk management accordingly. Is there a micro for CL? So, there is a micro, but it's like sized weird and nobody trades it. So they're pushing for like a real micro for oil. But there is now something called the Small Exchange. So you can go to their website, thesmallexchange.com. I need to ask the EdgeClear guys. And remind me to do that on Monday. Remind me on Monday I need to email EdgeClear. All right? And probably Ransquawk. Because I want to know what bulk pricing is for Ransquawk. Because right now I think it's like $250 a month for Ransquawk. Let me check that. What was it? What did he tell me? $250 a month on their flexible 30-day terms, and you get a 15% discount for an annual payment up front. Okay. So, but you can get bulk discounts. So if we get like 5 to 10 people to all get into it together, what's the discount that we get? That's what I want to know. And then for EdgeClear, I want to know, because you can do it with Felix Capital is a clearing partner for the Small Exchange, and CQG is a data partner for the Small Exchange. So can you trade the Small Exchange with EdgeClear, or do you have to go through Tasty Trade, or what's the deal with that? I think that probably you can. And so if you can, they have a mini oil. What was that Squawk service you had way in the past? Yeah, that was Ransquawk. Now News Squawk. That's who I really want to use. $250 a month. I don't know. I think it's worth it. Probably if I wasn't trading micros, I could definitely make that much to pay for it. I think it's one of those. I'm pretty convinced from listening to it again here. It has been a pretty news sensitive time, but there have been so many trades that I've taken or could have taken off of the squawks. So I'm pretty sure that you gain enough edge from the news squawk to pay for the 250. There's a reason why it costs what it is. That is way too much to pay for. Yeah. That's why we need to work on the channel so that we are generating enough revenue through advertising to pay for it. That's what I want to do. Or get the trading up. I don't know. I know, but if there's like 5 of us and they bring it down to like $200, then hey, that solves the problem right there. Yeah, what can I do to help with that? Nothing for now. I need to find out what it is first. First, I need to find out, okay, if it's 5, 10, 15, and then if it's a good discount and we like it, then we need to get together and get like 5 of us together and all buy a New Squawk subscription so that we get the discount. Maybe I can get my guy to pay for it and you can stream from my connection. Well, that would be cool. I don't play it over the stream, and when I get news, I'm not telling you guys until after. So if you see the news move and I take a direction, like it's clear what I think about it. but yeah, anything you could do to help would be nice. But I got 3 things I want to do right now. Right, one is I want to save up a bit to move over to EdgeClear because I like them. I want to try and open up an EdgeClear account. I want to get a News Squawk subscription. If you're complaining about news feeds being too expensive, don't trade. They're expensive, Gary Rich, but I think you're right. I think they're worth it. I think there's a reason why it costs that much, and I'm pretty convinced that you make make more from the information that they give you than, and like, shut your filthy mouth. The thing is so few real retail traders are paying for that kind of a service because it's expensive. So I think there's significant edge in it, and I think that there's a lot of things that I need to learn about treasuries that I can learn from it. So I really want it. I really want it. So that was number 2, and then number 3 is I really want Gary Norton's course. I think that I'm gonna buy it, and maybe I'll be disappointed, and I don't know if education course is worth $1,000, man. But everything that I look at and I've read and I've watched from Gary Norton, I always find really useful and inspiring, and just like, this is the way that I want to trade, and everything else that I've seen sounds like bullshit compared to what this guy says. So I really want to get it, and then we can review it, because there's a lot of question about it. But then I can come in, I can make a video about it, and I can be like, it's worth it or it's not worth it, and here's who it's going to be worth it to, and this and that. I think that would be really useful. So I want to do that. I'm thinking that I'm going to do the course first because the education and everything like that. And I will be able to do it in June, but I don't know. But so in the meantime, we make some videos and get more traffic coming. We got the video about trading computers doing really well. We need to make a video about writing strategies. So I'll work on that today and try and get one out for you guys on Monday. You sound like me. I talk to these traders who are complaining about my fee to be in my trading room and access the indicators, and I tell them the same thing. Yeah. If they're worried about spending money on a room and indicators trading isn't for them, they always buy after that. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm super skeptical about how much a month to pay for a room or indicators. I think the thing with you, Mace, is that room is not that expensive, right? Like, if it's like $50, I don't think that that's a big deal. So I've seen some rooms that are hundreds of dollars a month, and I really don't think that that's worth it. I'm not seeing. It's called shame buying. $150 a month. I don't know, dude. Can't recommend it. Sorry, can't recommend it. I know you got it, but I question the question is always should be in your mind is, does the room help me make more than $150 a month? If you're on the ES and the room is able to give enough edge to you to add 3 points, then yeah, it's worth it, isn't it? Yeah, I agree. I know I am way too cheap to spend money on a trading room. Yeah, you get indicators. I mean, look, we spend money on the jigsaw. Yeah, $150 a month actually is cheap. But this is why I don't know. Gary, have you found a trading room that you thought was provided good value and you would have recommended to people? Have you found those? I'm not saying that it has to exist right now or that you have to like plug somebody, but what was a room like? What was this room like that you thought it was worth so much? I don't know. They sure are, but that's the thing is, like, because there's potential to make money for something, and because there's potential to make money from it, you can value it very, very high. But then there's still the question of, does the room actually pay for itself, though? And in most cases, from what I've heard people talking, usually it doesn't. But if Ace was calling the trades out, then probably it is worth $150 a month, because I've definitely made more than $150 a month at one time. Back in September, I made more than $150 a month off of Ace's strategy and trades. So The only thing I could do to make it easier for them would be to work at their mouse for them. The thing that I really want to understand is how you select. It's so weird to me that it's always like the one that I don't take is the one that really ended up mattering, and the one that I do take is the one that should have been ignored. And when you'll come in and you say which ones you took, and it always just kind of seems like a coincidence that that's the one that you ended up taking and ended up working. It's really weird. Ace turned to the dark side. He did. So somebody's paying him, and he gives the signal in another room. And if the trade goes bad, I just sell them something shiny, and they forget. What the hell, Daniels? Oh my gosh, I'm deep pool now. Oh, is that what it is? Oh man. Okay, well, you know what? I would say, because in Utah they pretty much opened everything up. I would say it's like, it's time. Summer, we gotta get together, but not this week. I got a pool party with the weightlifting team, and they're gonna see the baby, and I'm super excited about that. Because my weightlifting team is almost all women. Birthday weekend, yes. I don't think we're gonna do anything for my birthday. I don't think my wife is getting me anything. I showed her one thing. I was like, "Ooh, this is what I should get," but then I was like, "Oh no, wait, I don't actually think that they're giving us a good price for that." So I don't think she got anything. The only way most people make consistent money trading is selling trading cards. Make a YouTube channel. I tell you what, it's not much, but it's consistent. Oh man. But this is a thing that is like really bothering me. Well, I don't know. We need to go further into it, but I feel strongly at the moment that the primary basis for your entries should be fundamentals. That means news and information about what flows are going on and correlations with other instruments. And that's what I think we should base our entries on. And then everything else on that is just optimizing it. Like Smash the Bid was saying, you know it's going to get up, but then how do you decide that you're getting a good price? And technical analysis can help us do that. That's what I think should be the thing. Well, when I go out there and I look, what do people care about? They're all talking about technical analysis. And nobody's talking about the way the market works, the things that actually matter. So that's what I want to talk about. I've tried to be nice and drop hints. No, I've got to go. I've got to. First of all, waking them up in the morning is apparently like a really bad idea now. They've gotten into a schedule where you don't wake them up. So you're just going to have to come over, Ace. I mean, you could. I'm doing something tomorrow. I guess if you guys wanted to come over on Sunday, you could. I don't have any kids right now, so. The steady paycheck well trading has been nice, yeah. Well, I'm glad to know that you've been trading well, because there was a certain period there in like February or March where the signal didn't really work very well for me, and then I was like, well, we keep trading it and get better at it. But then I went through the time frame thing. That kind of was interesting and actually had some good trades during that. But I think that since I've been doing the really, really focus on news, that we've been doing even better. So less pressure, especially while my signal has not been as reliable. Yeah, it is. I really think that it's the volatility though, right? Are your workspaces and indicators available for everybody who'd like to set up my Ninja? So I don't have a workspace. I guess I could put that out if you would like. Most of the indicators are available in the downloads channel or in the Discord. Discord in the downloads channel for free. Like the time frame indicators and stuff like that. I have not put up the level 2 indicators. I think they're really powerful, but there's limitations to them too. So, I think I kind of want to make those available. I also want to do a scatter plot. So I think what I might do is make a scatter plot and the level 2 indicators and package those up and put it all out for like $30. I'm not gay, but $20 is $20. DM me at Discord. I'll give you all the VIX index on indexes. I couldn't do it. Lots of opportunity to make a ton of cash selling. Yeah, well, here's my problem is that like this is the last thing I can say, and then I gotta go. Okay, guys. I would like to make these indicators available to everybody. I think that it would be better to make them available for a very low cost because one, that would help me, but two, it seems like that things get further if you charge for them. It's kind of interesting how charging for something can actually increase the demand for it. But I think that $30 would be appropriate and it'd be really cheap and everybody would be able to get it. But I don't want to spend all the time supporting things and stuff like that. So I'm only going to do it if I can like put it out there and not have to worry about it, right? Okay. I'm done talking, guys. I have got to go. I will see you guys Monday. Have a good weekend. I know I will. And don't loot or riot. Thank you. And we'll see you Monday. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.